welcome back to my channel. So today I have another Sims 4 speed build for you, and we're actually in San Myshuno in the 18 Culpepper house apartment. So if you download it off the gallery, then you can just pop it right here on this lot, or of course you can put it on just like a normal lot if you want to use it that way, like as a house. That's totally up to you, and it is already up on the Sims 4 gallery under my ID Spice and Sprinkles, all lowercase and all one word if you want to look it up. And so what I was wanting to do with this apartment, I actually decorated this with my mom, and we decided that we kind of wanted to make this like a detective apartment, which I mean I feel like doesn't make a whole lot of sense in terms of aesthetic. However, like we put in an office with, I felt like, kind of detective like stuff, like the desk and everything like that, and the sim I used for my screenshots is a detective. And I'm thinking maybe like I went with this kind of like classic masculine, kind of like the black tones and everything. And I say that because, like, I mean, masculine, feminine, who cares? But that is kind of the aesthetic it has. So then I started thinking, I don't know, maybe this is like a bachelor detective pad, like, you know, like that's, you know, he's living his best life and this is what it ends up looking like. I don't know. So that's who I used for my screenshots. And I felt like, so I didn't put any pets in this apartment, but when I downloaded the sim off the gallery, this sim had this gorgeous like German Shepherd that was kind of paired with it. And you know what? In that moment, I was like, I wish I had put like pet stuff in here because I felt like that would have been really adorable, but I didn't. So I did not use the German Shepherd in my screenshots, but of course, again, that stuff you can add after the fact if you would like to use it. And also, if you've never downloaded an apartment off the gallery, what you have to do to actually upload the apartments is you have to delete a few walls so that the game recognizes the whole apartment as one singular room, and then you can upload it as a room in case you ever wanted to know how to do that. So when you download it and place it, it's going to be randomly missing a few walls, and that's because I had to upload it that way, but you can simply just put those back. I tried to only delete walls that like didn't have anything on them, so it really just should be drawing those walls back, and you shouldn't have to deal with like any missing objects, that kind of thing. But when I was actually doing this kitchen, I actually love the way this turned out, and I used that really awesome like glass table in the middle, kind of like a makeshift island. Now when I was taking screenshots, the sim did not use that space to try to cook food. I have had that happen before in a build where I put in one of those kind of tables. For whatever reason, the sim just decided that they wanted to cook on that random table instead of on the perfectly good countertops that were there, and it couldn't. Like, I'm wondering if the game like just doesn't register like other surfaces as somewhere that you could like prep food, but they kept trying to use it. But when I play tested this, I didn't have any of that kind of issue. So fingers crossed you don't have that issue. And then once I got into this like living dining room space, I struggled a little bit with what I wanted the walls to look like. I really loved the leaf wallpaper, but it was like a lot to have everywhere. So I actually put in this like cement wall, and I thought it actually added this really cool like industrial look to it. And then using some of those detailed rugs there underneath the dining table, I think helped soften up that, as well as those sheer curtains we just got with that Desert Luxe kit, which, by the way, as a reminder, is free if you have the base game. So be sure to download that before, I believe, October 17th is the last day to do that. So if you're interested in getting that kit and you already have base game, you know, be sure to get it while you can. And I just wanted it to be kind of this industrial, but like softer, kind of eclectic space. I feel like I just use a bunch of adjectives to describe a singular apartment, but that's kind of the feel I wanted for it. And I will say, when I was trying to do this living space, I was very back and forth about how I wanted to actually set it up and like what rug I wanted to use and how I wanted it to look, because I really wanted like the couch to be in that gorgeous like kind of bay window area. And since I had the dining room table over there on the left, it kind of threw off some of the symmetry, you know, that I was going into the build thinking I would have, because I decided to make that kitchen a little bit bigger. But I think using these two rugs and kind of overlaying them actually really helped with making it not feel like it's like off balance, if that makes sense. So I think that did a lot to help make it look good. And I think the textures too, I try not to pull a bunch of color into the rugs, but instead to use a bunch of texture to give it like a warmer feel. And then I wanted to use a big coffee table, and I felt like I wanted to use kind of like a raw wood grain look to it, so which is why I picked this one. And then I just put actually a couple of armchairs in. I debated about putting in a like love seat or something like that, but I just felt like the chairs worked a little bit better, and I felt like the two large couches were just a bit excessive given that it's just a 1-bedroom apartment, but there is still a bunch of seating here that you can use. And I was back and forth too about trying to find a different chair that maybe had more metal in it, but I really like the ones that came with, what was it called? Eco Lifestyle? I don't know why I'm second guessing myself all of a sudden about the name of that eco pack. But then adding a few plants in here. I tried not to put too many plants in this build because I tend to do it, and I didn't feel like, you know, this is what that sim would have, if that makes sense. And then I wanted to add in here just a TV and a small like kind of TV stand, and keeping it kind of simple. I was back and forth about putting a fireplace in here, but my mom and I decided that actually we'll put a fireplace in the bedroom, which I think worked out really well because it's actually a pretty spacious bedroom in this apartment. And like I mentioned earlier, we do put in an office here as well. You can easily transfer that into a bedroom if you would like to use it that way. So it is still a very flexible apartment, but it is a very spacious one for just 1 bedroom. I will say that, and it has 1.5 baths as well. And so that one right there off to the left of the entrance door is a half bath, and then there's the full bath as an ensuite. And then I created this like little hallway area leading to all the other rooms. I feel like, at least in like real life builds, I like having that kind of thing because I feel like it adds a little bit of privacy to the more personal rooms of your home, like your bedrooms and things like that, where you may not have like company, but it kind of helps separate it off a little bit from that main living area where you might be entertaining, or if somebody's watching TV, maybe it allows for a little more like sound dampening throughout the house, if that makes sense. Again, not something you necessarily have to worry about in The Sims, but it's just stuff that I think about. And then I added in this really cool like bookcase shelving thing over here in this hallway area, and I do end up putting in like a stool over here so your Sims can like sit there and read. I thought about putting in like a full chair, but it just seemed a little bit busy. And then I just added in a cute carpet, so it's just like this cute little like reading nook that I created, and I really like the way that turned out. And like I said, I try to keep things a little more simple and not quite as cluttered as I might in other builds. And then just putting in this really simple kind of industrial half bath here, and I think that actually ended up looking really neat. And I did use the same toilet in the other bathroom, but I did use a different sink. And so this is actually going to be the office, and you can see the plaque on the wall. And if you aren't aware, the apartments in Myshuno sometimes have random things in them that you can't get rid of. That is one of them. And I don't remember what that plaque actually is, but it is something that is there to stay. Like, you can't really get rid of it. There may be some way, like a cheat or a mod or something, to get rid of it, but it is there. So I actually ended up trying to make it like it was maybe some sort of award the detective had won. And so I just put a shelf under it with some other awards and things they may have gotten throughout their career. So it kind of looks like it matches and was intentional. I think it may be some sort of like founder's plaque or something, maybe somebody that like built the apartment or something historical, something like that. Actually, I think it is maybe something historical. And when I came to this desk area, I wanted to have like a bunch of papers, like their case files and stuff they're keeping up with, and some of those like degrees and plaques on the wall above their desk, and one of those really cool like old school desk lamps. And just, it was a little bit cluttered, like they've got a lot going on with work, but they have like all those papers there, and that's just kind of what I felt was appropriate for the detective career. And then just putting in a chair in here, again, just like a little reading nook hangout space. And then I think I just put in a picture on the wall and something that's just kind of like, I don't want to say it's a basic painting, but it's got that nice like beige color to it, and I think that helped complement this a lot. And so this is actually going to be the bedroom, so I'm putting in the fireplace here, and I'm thinking, I feel like this is an older apartment, so the fireplace I used, I feel like maybe is an older fireplace that was in the bedroom and that has like that brick around it, so it doesn't look as modern as like maybe everything else in the apartment, but that maybe they didn't change out the whole fireplace, if that makes sense. Like you can change out like the fixtures and things like that, but maybe not the fireplace. And so I kind of left that as like a node to this being an older apartment. And then I ended up just actually doing kind of like a built-in closet around the bed, and I think that worked out really nicely. And you saw I was trying to combine different pieces and things like that to see what would actually work, and I think this turned out like well for a single sim. Of course, you can swap out some of the decor if you know your sim has a different personality than what I was envisioning, or you have multiple sims in here. You can definitely change this up, and it doesn't hurt my feelings if you want to change it. And just adding in a little bit of clutter, and then I wanted to put a little bit of a wall decoration, but nothing like too busy. I ended up putting that large like black and white painting on the wall because I think it helped add a lot of interest and bring some of the black from the curtains and the fireplace over to that side of the room, if that makes sense. Trying to make sure it's very cohesive and that everything matches. And then using those metallic lamps on the wall, I think helped also nod to that kind of industrial look that we have going on in this apartment. And then of course adding my favorite mirror ever. I added that in there with some of those like darker brown like wood tones in here, and then just kind of finishing up here in the bathroom, mimicking a lot of the tile that we already had in the apartment. And I honestly really wish we had more showers and shower tub combos in this game because I feel like we could really use them. But we are actually getting close to the end of this build, so if you enjoyed it, please be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe. It would really help me out. And of course, as always, leave comments down below of stuff you want to see, or just anything else you want to leave a comment about, even if it's to say hello. And I hope you have a really sweet day. Bye, everybody.